Hello, welcome wherever you are around the world to the 3ZZZ World Cup show. My name is Gabriel D'Angelo. It is wonderful to have your company. And speaking of wonderful company, allow me to introduce to you two 3ZZZ broadcasters who are, well, they live, breathe, and some say even go to bed with a football tucked under their arm at night. So just sitting next to me from the Irish Broadcasting Group, we have a lady who's played pretty much every sport there is, you name it, she's played it, and she's also quite an accomplished jazz singer as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, please start clicking your fingers and welcome DeArne Leonard.
Hi.
How are you, DeArne?
I'm good, Gabe, and yourself?
I'm good, thank you. And am I right in saying that this isn't your first foray into the visual medium, that you used to do a TV show with Jamie Redfern from Young Talent?
Oh my gosh, now you're taking me back, Gabe. I did. It was called Cabaret on the Road. I think we did about 3 episodes for Channel 31. And I was in a group at the time called Two's Company, and obviously I was very tall, so I was the crowd in the middle of the group. Yeah. I'd forgotten I'd actually done that. So where on earth did you drag that up from?
We have some footage. Can we? No, it's all good. But I, for one, I'm looking forward to your rendition of All My Loving at the end of every episode. So that'll be good. So if that's not an incentive to watch this show, I don't know what is. I mean, what more do you want?
There's never a better time to have Gabriel at your feet. It's that.
Yeah, exactly right. And sitting at the end of the couch, sitting next to DeArne, we have a man from the German Broadcasting Group. He's a man who's a medical scientist who's busy working on cures for Alzheimer's and migraines, and is also working on his speech for when his beloved Germany win yet another World Cup. From the German Broadcasting Group, Bernd Merkel. Hello, Bernd, how are you?
Gabriel, hello. I'm very well, thank you. And I'm really excited and very grateful to be here with you and with DeArne.
That's good. And that's DeArne, that's Bernd, and looking forward to hearing from them both from time to time during the upcoming weeks. And I also like to talk a little bit about 3ZZZ. For those of you who don't know, 3ZZZ is Australia's largest ethnic community radio station. We've been broadcasting since 1989. We operate in the suburb of Brunswick in the city of Melbourne. And we broadcast programs in over 50 different languages. And this year we've been really lucky, really fortunate to work in a partnership with Football Victoria, who are the governing body of the sport here in Victoria, where we've been broadcasting live matches of the National Premier League of Victoria for both men's and women's competitions. And we've been doing that in conjunction with the FIFA-approved Oceania Club of the Century, the mighty South Melbourne Football Club. So we've been working with both organisations, and it's been really, really wonderful. We've also been doing podcasts where we've been talking to people from non-for-profit grassroots community footballing organisations. Some of those people we'll meet during the course of the few weeks. And it's been an amazing journey so far. And we thought, well, the World Cup is coming around the corner. We're the world radio station and we love the world game. So what can we do to celebrate the World Cup and just take our project a little bit further? So we decided to do this show. So we approached the station manager of 3ZZZ, John King. I approached him in his office and did what he normally does. He said, "Who are you?" and "Get the hell out of my office." But 5 minutes later, he was like, "Yep, sounds good. Let's do this show." And we contacted the wonderful people here at Studio M4. And here we are working together to do this program. So wherever you're watching this show, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on M4 Live, we hope that you enjoy it. And we hope that you like it, because we're big football fans. And yeah, so I think we've got all the housekeeping out of the way. I think we've introduced we've introduced DeArne, we've introduced Bernd, we've introduced myself, who cares, talked about 3ZZZ, so I guess it's time to talk about the biggest, the best, the most important sporting event in the world. That's right, the AFL draft. No. No. I mean, because like in commercial media here in Melbourne, that's all they talk about. It's like nothing else exists. But no, of course, I'm talking about the World Cup. And I did say just a little bit in the intro for you, Bernd, about Germany's chances. I think they've got a very good chance of winning it. But what do you think?
Well, there is the fan and supporter, and there is the kind of expert. So, I mean, when you talk about the World Cup, Germany always is there when you name the teams that can win the World Cup. That for sure. I mean, we won it 4 times in the past. We won in 2014, but we had a very terrible performance in 2018. First time in history that we lost in group stage and were kicked out, literally kicked out, and we deserved it. So. Now it's an interesting time because some people say we have the European Cup 2024 coming up in Germany, and maybe that World Cup is a step towards that. But I think it is a World Cup and we need to perform here and now. So coming back to your question, I would say we have a chance, but we are definitely not, I would say, in the top 5-6 teams. So the change between from Löw to Flick as a coach, as a manager, was definitely necessary. The last 2 matches before the World Cup in the UEFA Nations League, we lost against Hungary at home. In England, we were 2-0 up and then conceded 3 goals in 15 minutes. So from that end, I would say I'm very cautious. I would be happy if we make it to the quarterfinal already, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think you're underplaying your chances actually at Germany. I mean, the fact is that Flick was the assistant to Löw in the 4th world title that Germany won, so he knows his way around the games. Yes, he spent the last 2 years at Bayern Munich as coach, but he's got 2 Bundesliga titles under his belt with that. The DFB Cup, the UEFA Super Cup. He's also got a FIFA, the World Club Cup, and there's the UEFA Champions League trophies. He comes with the creds to get the team through this little transition, if you want to call it, with the players, the strikers and everybody to come together. And he's made some really good decisions. He's pulled Thomas Müller back into the squad as well. And he seems to have a really good formation. He's been playing in the 4-3-2-1 formation, apart from the 1-1 draw to England in June, which was 3-4-2-1. This man knows what he's doing with the squad and he's got some amazing talent. I think I actually rate Germany a little higher than you do this particular World Cup.
And he also brought back Mario Götze. So you've got Müller, Götze, you've got Neuer, obviously the first choice goalkeeper. You've also got some really good young players. You've got Sané, Gundogan, Adeyemi. You've got
Gundogan not that young anymore.
Well, I mean, he's younger than us. So and Moukoko, who there's lots of talk about him moving to Chelsea. I mean, it's a good squad. I mean, it's no Central Coast Mariners, but it's a good team nonetheless. So I think Germany have a really good chance of making it. I like how they've got, and I like what you said, because they've got experienced players playing in the right positions to sort of hold the players together and sort of get the less experienced players gelling. So I think Germany have a really good chance.
I agree.
Let's see. I think we are definitely missing a good goal scorer. There was a lot of discussion. Now we got Niklas Füllkrug from Werder Bremen in, but the old times, I would say, where we had a Klose, where we had a Gerd Müller in the very old times, they are gone. And I think Germany is missing that kind of option. Maybe with Füllkrug we will have it. And the other one is also that the defense is not at I would say a top World Cup level. So, so I would say they are great defenders. But Niklas Süle, for example, he came from Bayern Munich and went to Borussia Dortmund. Quite a bit of a discussion on that. Why would someone leave Bayern Munich and go to Dortmund? And definitely say if he was fit, there's always a question about if you look at him with all respect, is he really at 100%? So don't get me wrong, very good players, but not on the world-class level. There was a huge discussion also about Mats Hummels not be in the squad. He played an outstanding half season with Borussia Dortmund. And there was really like, will he come back? Same with Müller. Müller did. Hummels did not. So that's why I say, let's see. We can hopefully get in for a surprise, but I don't see us up there.
That's a surprise. I just want to ask, I know I've asked you this personally, but just on the outside looking in, it seems like the German fans expect nothing but greatness or nothing but like victory and trophies and all that sort of stuff. Is that true? Like, does the German fans just expect the German team to win everything every single time?
I wouldn't say expect everything, and also I think for this World Cup, with all the stories that we know are happening in the background in Qatar or everything that comes with it, people in Germany are not as excited at the moment about the World Cup as they were in the past. That also is because we are playing in Germany now in winter, and World Cups in Germany normally are public viewing. We don't have that here in Australia a lot, but in Germany, thousands of people coming together in the beer garden, in Berlin at the Brandenburger Tor and watching Germany playing at the World Cup. So now you're playing in November, December, where it's getting really cold, people are at home, you're kind of winding down, it's the cold part of the year. So coming back to your question, I would say there's definitely originally always that expectation. Germany, I would say semi-final, yes. But for this World Cup in particular, I would say it's not as high. Also based on what I explained a little bit earlier. So
you think the next World Cup, not this one?
I don't hope so. So we definitely need, because our last two tournaments were really not good, both the World Cup and also the European Cup. I mean, we lost against England, but we didn't play a good tournament there in England last year in June. So from that, but hopefully they prove me better, and the quality is there. Will we get it on the pitch? That's a big question.
Look, I think Uruguay, they're always one of these teams that no one would probably think that they would win, but would at least cause some sort of trouble to possibly knock out a favourite, maybe, and then and then go a little bit further. But that's pretty much it. I don't think anyone's expecting Uruguay to win the World Cup or anything like that. I think that there's a lot of optimism in terms of the Uruguayan team and Uruguayan squad. There's a lot of very good young players, especially in the midfield. We've got Federico Valverde, who plays for Real Madrid. Valverde, he's been really, really good in La Liga for Real Madrid. He's had a really good season, so he's definitely one to watch. So if there's anyone that sort of likes to see like the young players, one of those players that could sort of have a really good World Cup and then move on to bigger and better things, for Uruguay's case, I think it'll be Valverde. But we'll see how we go.
What really impresses me, Gabriel, with Uruguay is the country is quite small. You have 1.8 million, roughly, population?
3 million.
So 3 million, sorry, yes. But still, 3 million, so a quite small country, right? And every year, or every time you make it to the World Cup with maybe sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less struggle, but you were fourth in South Africa in 2010, and you always get these really world-class players out there. And I mean, we will talk about Australia later, right? Yeah. But Australia has 25 million people, and you can't tell me, with all respect to your country, that genetically Uruguay has better players than Australia, right? Yeah. But and now you're still playing with Suarez, with Cavani. The quality might not be there anymore as they were maybe years ago, but to see these players, I'm really excited about that, I must say. So, and in the group, and in the group stage, I mean, you're playing. Portugal is your biggest opponent, right? That's gonna be very interesting how that works out with the whole Ronaldo story at the moment.
Well, yeah. Uruguay's opening game is Friday, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time against South Korea. Germany's opening game is Thursday, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time against Japan. So 3 points to Germany there. But yeah, look, you're right. There's Muslera, Godin, Cáceres, Cavani, Suarez. They're all playing in their fourth World Cup. And they're all said, like, this is it. This is their last World Cup, and that's it. They're done. Yeah.
I think they'll make it out of the group stages, 100%. I really do, because when you've got Ghana, you've got South Korea, surely they've got to be going through into the next round. But the thing that I find exciting about Uruguay, but also concerning at the same time, is the fact that you look at when their last big world stage wins were. Like, they've got the 1930 and the 1950 official cups. Then they've got the two 1924 and 1928 Olympics, which is, the 4-star brand. They're considered, soccer royalty because of what they've done, because they won the first ever, because they were the hosts for the first ever back on their 1920. But the thing is, they've won 15 Copa Americas, and then they've got the 2 official FIFAs plus the 2 Olympic Games. They can be exciting to watch, and they've got the talent, but it's been a long time since they've been on the world stage holding up the World Cup. Yes. Credit to them for the Copa America, but let's be honest, that's one continent.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, and there's other countries that have sort of surpassed Uruguay in many different ways. I mean, also at the same time, the European countries are getting better and better and stronger and stronger. You got France and Spain, who have sort of become the new wave, so to speak. But no, I mean, you're right. But the funny thing about Uruguay at the moment is that one of the most sort of talked about people in the squad isn't even a player. It's not even a coach. It's actually a fitness coach. There's a man by the name of Oscar Ortega, who is a fitness coach for Atletico Madrid. And he's being classified as probably one of the best, if not the best, in the world at what he does. He's so influential that the current coach of Uruguay, Diego Alonso, when he was putting his name in to be the coach of the national team, he was about 4th or 5th down the ranking. Like nobody gave him any chance. But what put him over the line was that he said, I'm mates with Oscar Ortega, and he promised me if I become the coach, he'll come with me and be a part of the squad. And that just got him over the line. And a lot of players just sing his praises. Diego Simeone, the coach of Atletico Madrid, says he's the best he's ever worked with. And it's like, there's a lot of talk in the media about will he come, won't he, what's going to happen, will Atletico Madrid allow him to go? And it's all this talk. And it's like, wow, I've never seen this before in any sporting event, in any team where there's just so much media attention, so much focus, not on a player, not on a coach, the fitness coach. I've never seen that before.
Surely for pride they take him.
And coming to fitness, would be interesting to hear your both opinion in terms of climate over there. Do you think the South American teams have a little bit of an advantage, in particular Brazil and Argentina, who probably are a bit better, with all respect, than Uruguay? But in terms of climate, the South American teams have been, I shouldn't say shocking, but they haven't won since 2002. Yeah. So the last 4 World Cups went to Europe.
Which was in Asia, by the way, in Japan
exactly.
and South Korea.
But then Germany won in Brazil, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I was wondering, could that be a bit of an advantage?
I think, if anything, it's the fitness that's going to put teams over the line. I think that in this case, it's not, okay, who's got the best players or which team plays the fanciest. One of the reasons why I think Germany are going to do so well is that you guys are a good tournament team. And you guys are the best when it comes to extra time and penalties. So when the knockout stages come, the other team, whoever it is that's playing against you guys, have to win in 90 minutes. If not, that's it. Germany are going to win. And it's not a given, but the mentality of like, oh, geez, if we go into penalties against Germany, we're gone. So that's a huge advantage. So I think it's also the fitness level, and I think England have a good chance in that regard too.
So with fitness, obviously, I think arguably, while Australia's never won a World Cup, they are the speediest men out on the pitch in most of them, and their fitness is above and beyond. One of the things from my sporting career has been a team of champions will never beat a champion team. Yeah. So I think it's a bit sort of broad to draw that arrow and say the fitness is the difference, because you could be slightly older and longer in the tooth in your career, but you've got the nous to play the game. You know how to position yourself, you know how to work your team, and you get the best cohesively as a team. So while fitness certainly will help, and it's great that Uruguay's got the best in the world, and I wish them the best with that, but I do think that the mesh of the old and the new and the gameplay and a champion team is what's going to win it this year.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens, but I'm sure Germany will do just fine. Uruguay, we don't know, but just to reiterate, Germany's first game is against Japan Thursday, 12 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Friday, 12 a.m. Uruguay versus South Korea, and who knows what could happen there. So we'll see. But anyway, I mean, we can go on about this, but we have to take a very short break. On the other side of the break, we have our special guest, Floyd Cardoso from Melbourne Social Soccer. But first, I want to introduce to you the 4th member of our team, the D'Artagnan to the 3 Musketeers, or the Shemp to the 3 Stooges, Brian Yap, who has a very important announcement. Take it away, Yappers.
Hey, I want to tell you about Albert Street Cafe. Albert Street Cafe is a family-owned business that has the best coffee in Melbourne. Now I know what you're thinking. With all these coffee places in Melbourne, how can they be number 1? But trust me, Albert Street Cafe has the best coffee and sandwiches in Melbourne. They are so good, people are coming from all over Melbourne just to try their coffee. Visit the friendly staff and see why everyone from all over Melbourne is coming to Albert Street Cafe. Come and see for yourself. Albert Street Cafe, 306 Albert Street, Brunswick.
As you know, football can be expensive to play. It can also be very daunting for those who are new to this country and are alone. That's where community organisations like the Melbourne Social Soccer come in, and with us to talk about Melbourne Social Soccer, we have the head of the organisation, Floyd Cardoso. Floyd, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me here.
No problem. So what is Melbourne Social Soccer?
Okay, so the concept came about mainly because when I first came to Melbourne here in 2017, I just wanted to get into soccer. So I found these group of guys who were just playing around, just getting together ad hoc, But as 1 year went by, I realized that they needed a little more help, a little more structure, a little more organized. Because prior to this, 6 months I was in Spain, in Sevilla, where I used to. There was a similar sort of concept where the guy used to just organize games, and he was just by himself. But the joy and the fitness that gave me being there among all these people and meeting different people, I know that he was just by himself. He's doing it. It was a difficult task because always used to talk to him, ask him what's happening. But yeah, it was a struggle because he's just by himself. So when I came here, then I saw that this is the same sort of problems they're going to have again. So we thought of coming together, banding together, making it a little more formal, and that's where the idea for Melbourne Social Soccer came up from, actually. So that's why, and now after made formal, you get the opportunities to go look for grants, speak to different organizations like yourself, go and network more, and just make it bigger, really. Because when you make something formal, taking it to the next level is pretty easy.
Yeah, well, when there's a structure, like a proper structure.
Exactly that.
So, how many people do you have in the organization?
So, actually, on Meetup, we are one of the biggest groups. We have about 6,000 members.
6,000?
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's prior to this, there was quite a bit already, like a big chunk of it. And year on year, we are growing rapidly, actually, because the demand for, especially after COVID, being out among people, socializing, that was becoming difficult for people, especially when you're not speaking the language. It becomes difficult to get closer to others. But football is a language everyone knows.
Exactly. Football is a language, sport is a language. So last weekend you held a men's tournament, which these two gentlemen joined in for 3ZZZ, third place. Congratulations to Gabriel and Bernd and the team. How many of those do you tend to hold a year, like the actual competitions? Because I believe there's a women's competition scheduled for January.
Yep,
I'm hoping to be fit enough for that.
Don't injure anyone, because she can, the elbows and
Oh, please, come on. I do more on the pitch than keepers do, is all I can say.
Yeah.
So how often would you be running these sort of tournaments to sort of, because that's another level again, it's one thing to come and play all the time, but then to bring a tournament together and have maybe people from other areas that aren't necessarily your members, but give them the opportunity to play. How often do you run them?
Well, this was actually the tournament.
It's the first one.
Inaugural.
Oh, wow.
The first one.
Yeah.
So basically, when we and Gabriel started chatting, that was when we had the first radio show.
Yeah.
We came up with this the corporate sector has the corporate games.
They do.
Yeah. Not for profit side, nothing.
That's true, yeah. It was a really good event. It was a lot of fun. There was other organisations there present, but it was good. Even Studio M4 had their own team in the cup. 3ZZZ, we finished third. We missed out on the final by 1 point, and I think the winners was. Yeah, that's it. But one of the winner was Melbourne Social Soccer, wasn't it? Yeah, look, I'm not saying it was rigged, but I mean they did. I didn't, but they did. It wasn't rigged, but there might be an inquiry. A Royal Commission next year. I'm just joking.
With the grants, Floyd, where does the money go? So you said you were applying for grants, and you had some success. I mean, to get money from the government is not like an easy process, right? So
No, it's not. With everything, there should be a purpose. Right? There should be a why. Yeah. So what I did was go on the different look at what exactly is required. So one big requirement that came right after COVID was mental health, community. These were some of the words that you had put together, and women as well. So that's when going back to your little segue, the women's tournament and the team itself, because last week we have 30 women. So it's big, So the reason why this is happening is because there's a big push for the women's game to be evolved as well and growing. And I think it was a little worse on women, because when we read the report, definitely women were more affected during COVID time because of the isolation. So the government actually is supporting a lot for the women's soccer side and women's mental health as well, which is amazing. We thought, okay, great. We needed something to grow the game. The government is going in the same direction. Let's just go along the same path.
It's
And that's
amazing.
where we got grants mainly starting with the women and with the men, obviously small ones, not as significant, but yeah, it's
So it's kind of supporting the game in terms of really not just socially coming together, but actually forming a team that is kind of training also on a continuous level.
Yeah, so the structure that we went for mainly with the women's game as well was that it's meant for anyone who has never played the game, or for players who have left the game for a long time and they're coming back to it.
Aging players, yes.
Anyone
Yeah.
basically. So we start off with like half an hour of like just stretching and getting back to like a little bit of the practice. So we have someone who actually does drills for and all these things for us. And right after that we go into the game,
Yeah.
just so they get a feel for it. And the actual main thing that happens during the games is after, where they usually have like snacks, they have the drinks and all of these things.
Pizza last week.
pizza, it's with ham on it and everything. But yeah, like coming back to what we were saying about the women's game, we've noticed that there's been this huge uptick of female participation when it comes to football. And in your organisation, has the participation rate for women overtaken men, or is it getting there? Or
Definitely getting there, but at a faster rate, much faster rate, and consistently, because we've had like everything, we have a lot of organizers try to come to us telling us like, how do you grow, how do you grow the women's game, or just how you're managing it. We're like, you have to put effort.
Yeah.
You have to be with them, traveling with them, like following up with everyone, making sure they're doing okay, how they catering to exactly what they want, not what we want.
yeah,
And the women's side is run for women by women. That's the main thing.
okay. To actually, like when we were just talking earlier about how Melbourne Social Soccer was set up, obviously it wouldn't have been easy. There would have been a lot of setbacks and a lot of problems, and people promising everything and then not delivering at all. How hard was it to actually get a organisation like Melbourne Social Soccer up and running? Because a lot of people forget that it's not easy just to like start up something like this. That it requires a lot of work, a lot of effort, and especially if it's on a volunteer basis.
Yeah. So the challenges before forming this. So there was all these group of guys. A lot of them playing just informally, just coming together, putting two bags, kicking the ball around.
Yeah.
Like with everything, and playing on a pitch which was not really. We didn't have the permits. We just playing there. But when you obviously when you become official, then the challenge is how do you make yourself official? That's by getting the permits, making sure that the authorities know who you are. So mainly the challenge there was making sure that people know that Melbourne Social Soccer exists. That's going to the councils, going to different organizations, telling them, okay, we're here, this is what we do, this is how we'd like to grow, can we have permits for these grounds, can we have support wherever we need, not in terms of money, not always, not everyone has endless money to give out. But that was the main challenge, getting it mainly to be accepted as official.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest challenges.
Is it free to come and join Melbourne Social Soccer? And also, how often can a female player or a gentleman turn up and have a social game?
So we charge very nominally. So for the women, we charge $8 per game, and for the men, it's $10. But that's just to cover basic costs, because just
Balls,
admin
nets,
costs,
yeah.
very very basic, because we have other organizations out there, so we did our research as well. They're charging $20 per game, $15-20 per game. So we keep it on the low end, just so it's accessible for students and someone who's coming new into the city. But if someone has financial problems, obviously they're just getting started, we tell them, come to us, tell us.
Yeah.
We are more than happy to just play there. That's not an issue.
And if people want to get involved, so they just can rock up. I think you're playing in Carlton, Princess Park, right? So just can rock up and say, hey, I want to play here today, or do they have to go through a certain website,
Yeah,
or
so-
how does it work?
Yeah, so we do all our bookings through Meetup. That's just to make it a little more streamlined, because there's like we already have like 6,000 members. So anyone who's coming new can join us, but it's just easier for us to manage through Meetup itself, like, you know, just so we know, mainly because we've had issues where people turn up, and if something happens, we have no record of if they've created some problems. We don't have records of who they are,
Yes.
where they come from, and all of these things. So just to make sure that if there's an emergency as well, we know how to track these things. So it's mainly for the safety of the person, not really worrying about us.
And is there a website for Melbourne Social Soccer? And
yeah.
obviously the Facebook and
Yeah, so it's
socials as well?
melbournesocialsoccer.com. We have our Facebook page as well. We have our meetup as well. Yeah, it's people like you all who make it amazing.
Sounds good. And it is an amazing organisation, and all the very best of luck to you and to everybody involved at Melbourne Social Soccer. And before you go, who are you supporting at the World Cup? Is there anyone?
Okay, so backstory.
All right, part 3. No, that's all right. Yeah.
So I am. Okay, let me show you where I'm from. Great. Okay, so this is India. This is a little place called.
So we need to show it to the camera.
Yes. See those things? They're the cameras. This is the wall.
Yeah. Okay. So I am from India, a little place called Goa. Yeah, exactly. So I'm from a Portuguese colony, and we have always supported Portugal.
Yeah, and they're in the same group as Uruguay. So no. I'm not supporting you at all. I was going to say good luck to Melbourne Social Soccer, but no. No, good. No, good luck to Portugal. They won't need it. But no, thank you very much, Floyd. Good luck to you, and good luck to everybody at Melbourne Social Soccer. We're going to have a little break. We're going to have Margaret Peril, who is the supporter of the French men's national football team, coming up on the other side of the break. But first, here's Brian Yap.
Hey football fans, I know you want quality footballs at affordable prices. And I also know that you want footballs made ethically right here in Australia. Then look no further than Wincher Sports. They make quality footballs for all levels of players and clubs at affordable prices. Look at these amazing footballs. Buy in bulk and save money. When you think of quality, think of Wincher. Go to www.winchersports.com.au or email info@wincher.com.au and win with Wincher.
After years of disappointment, France finally won their first World Cup in 1998. 4 years later, in 2002, and the world champs were out in the first round. 20 years later, in 2018 in Russia, France won their second World Cup. Will history repeat itself 4 years later in Qatar? Well, to speak about the French national football team, we have a guest with us, Margaret Peril. Margaret, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Gabriel. It's a pleasure to be here, and bonjour.
Will France succumb to the World Cup curse like Germany did 4 years ago, or no?
Oh, let's hope not. Let's hope not. Perhaps they will do what Brazil did in 1962 after winning in 1958. Who knows? However, how will France go this time? It's a guess.
I mean, they have
My
the players
heart
to do it.
says France will win, but my head says I think France is facing a very big hurdle.
Yeah, but do you at least think that France will make it past the group stage, that they won't succumb to the World Cup
Most
curse? at
definitely, and that's going to be the challenge. If they top the group, then they will become a well-oiled machine, and I think they will progress very far. If they don't top the group, I think they have quite a challenge, because they will face the top of Group C, which will likely be Argentina. So who knows? And also, I think if you don't top the group, mentally, that can act on you as well.
And they played against Denmark in the Nations League and
Yes.
lost against them
And
just recently. So that will be, I guess, the big duel in that group.
That's
With
right.
all respect, Australia and Tunisia, I guess, are the...
Probably not.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know at a World Cup,
never
yeah.
know. if there is a draw between Australia and France, and Denmark is in top shape at the moment, Denmark could very well top the group.
Yeah. No one really knows about Denmark,
Nobody knows. Yes.
Well, France, they've got an amazing forward line in particular. Got Giroud, Griezmann, Benzema, Mbappe, although there's an injury cloud.
There's 2 injury clouds in that. There's Mbappe and Benzema
Yeah.
are not considered 100% fit, is my understanding at the moment.
Yep, and Nkunku has also been replaced. He's been ruled out of the World Cup and been replaced by Muani. But even still, I mean, the French team, especially that forward line,
That's right.
that's
It's
an incredibly
excellent,
impressive team.
The midfield and the back, that's where I guess some of the questions are with some of the injuries, especially at the beginning of the tournament. By the time they've had 2 weeks to settle in after the group stage, I mean, they do become a well-oiled machine and play well together.
What do you think about Hugo Lloris? Because you did say the back is a bit... Because I think Hugo Lloris is a good goalkeeper, but he's the type of goalkeeper who'll do a really good save and then he'll do a really, really bad stuff up like the next minute.
I can't comment on that one. That goalkeeping is one of the most challenging positions in the team.
Yes,
you
it
know?
is.
And I feel really sorry for them sometimes.
Yes, I
Because it's the trickiest position in my view, and you may have a bad day, and who knows? Especially if one or two balls get through. Are you a goalkeeper?
No, I'm not.
No, but
Gabriel
Gabriel
is. He knows that.
I didn't say a good one, I just said I was a
Because
goalkeeper.
you're on your own. you know?
Yes, yeah. I know.
Well, the forwards, there's 3 or 4 of you, and same with the back. So
Yeah.
But an excellent team, I would say, would keep the ball from the keeper as much as possible. It's not... The ball's never going to be near the keeper, obviously, but a really solid team will keep it in their forward line, will keep the pressure up. That's something that France in the past has done very well. When they're on, they are on, and the pressure is up on their attacking end, and their keepers don't get such a hard run when they're really switched on. That's one of the strengths I find of France as a national team.
We were talking about the injuries, but I mean, with Pogba and Kanté, they are 2 central defensive midfield players, right? They were there at the 2018 World Cup. What do you think? Still, the quality is still there, but since they are crucial positions, what will the impact be? In particular, that you have this outstanding offensive part, but defensively, you could have really needed them.
Yeah.
yes, and it's anybody's guess.
Yeah.
I do think France has enough backup at the end of the day. They have a few young ones coming through, but they need a bit of luck.
Yeah.
And Australia, say what you like, yes, we are not number 1, but Australia is an attacking team, and Australia will rattle the opponent. If they put their mind to it, they can really rattle the opponent.
As you were saying, Australia play France at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's the opening game for both Australia and for France. That's on a Wednesday morning. For the second consecutive time, Australia play France.
As the first game.
Yeah, as a first game. Were you conflicted? Like, how did you react to that? Like, what would you like?
It's not easy. I mean, same if you have Uruguay playing, playing Australia, or Germany playing Australia, and Ireland playing Australia next year.
That's true.
I mean, you're not conflicted. You want a 1-1 draw. Then everybody wins.
And Australia did very well in 2018 in Russia. I mean, that game where France was lucky was the first VAR decision at the World Cup that they got the penalty.
Wow.
And then Australia got the penalty and they had the 1-1, and then very late, I think it was Pogba that 10 minutes before the end scored. So quite a bit of luck at that time. So who knows how it goes next week then, right?
That's right. So ideally, we want France and Australia to go to the group of 16. That would be perfect.
Yeah, in a perfect world, it could very well be the case, you know. It could very well be the case because, you know, as we said, France have a wonderful team. They've got some very good young players. Speaking of players, is there a particular player, just past, present, that you've always really liked? Like
Well,
that?
I've had a lot of admiration for Zidane. I mean, that period of Zidane really stands out. And the win of 1998. That was amazing. I remember I was in Melbourne And the night before, it was the Bastille Day Ball of the Alliance Française. And here we were all out there, and knowing that France would be facing Brazil the next morning and midnight, we're still dancing away, allez, allez, allez. And the next morning, the Alliance Française opened its doors to the public, really, to go and watch it on TV there. I didn't go, we have 3 children, it would have been too difficult, but we certainly woke up at 5 o'clock to watch it. And it was almost an anticlimax, because Zidane got the first goal, and I think the second, and then there was a third, and 3-0. You don't expect to win 3-0 against Brazil, but they did.
Yeah.
So that was really great. And by the way, I do have a T-shirt. I didn't bring it; it's over there somewhere, which is the T-shirt of them winning the 1998 World Cup, followed by the 2000 Euro. So there's a T-shirt commemorating that. I'll show you, and maybe we can put it on later.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Yeah.
I mean, with the history, Germany, France, I remember France in the 1980s, where they had an amazing team as well with Platini. We're not talking about him in the UEFA, but as a player.
As a player,
he was outstanding. And they had magnificent, that midfield with Platini, Gires and Tijana. That was outstanding. And they lost twice against Germany. Actually, in both World Cups, 82 and 86, I think the better team.
And Schumacher was in goals when he collided.
Yeah, and in both games. Dodgy. So Germany won both semi-finals. But would you say that was also kind of a really great generation? I mean, which was a great success, won the European Cup, not the World Cup, but a great team as well, I think, at that time.
Yes, and I can't really comment on that. That was a little bit before my time, because I've got to tell you when my interest in soccer or football really started. Sure. And it was in 1978. And I'll tell you what happened. It was a Monday morning. Here in Australia, we watch the final quarter-final on a Monday morning or Sunday morning. And it was 5 o'clock Monday morning. I was expecting our second child, and Labour started. My husband Jacques had woken up to watch TV, and it was Argentina versus the Netherlands. And 5 o'clock in the morning, I come out of the bedroom and I say, I think it's coming. And he looked at me and he said, what now? No, there was something more important than this baby coming out. And I thought, hang on, this must be important. So it was Argentina, Netherlands, and Netherlands didn't make it. Argentina won.
Yeah, wow. No, and a big hello to Jack.
Yes, in 1978.
Yeah.
So that was,
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining the program and for talking about France. And we would normally say good luck to France. Well, good luck to them for the rest of the tournament, but maybe not against Australia. Let's give a little bit of room for Australia as well. So thank you very much, Margaret. We're just going to have a quick break, but first, some more words of wisdom from Brian Yap.
Belmont, Bentley East, Brunswick. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just looking at the map where Bowens are located. Croydon, Dandenong, Epping. Well, I'm glad that there are so many Bowens around Melbourne because they provide the best timber and hardware in Australia. Hallam, Hastings, Laverton North. Bowens have been around for 128 years helping Aussies with their projects. Whereabouts? Melton, Mount Evelyn, North Melbourne, Phillip Island. Even penguins use Bowens because they're that great. Wow. Where else? Shepparton, Port Melbourne, Rowville. Well, of course they do. Well, yeah, because, well, they're Bowens. They are the builder's choice. Where else? Taylor's Lakes, Warragul, Pakenham.
So the Socceroos are in yet another World Cup and they play France at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. There was a lot of talk about who was in the World Cup squad for the Socceroos and also who was out of the World Cup squad. There's been an announcement made that Marco Tilio from Melbourne City has come in as an injury replacement for Martin Boyle, but it's not confirmed whether or not Martin Boyle is completely out of the World Cup just yet. But the fact that Marco Tilio has been called up means that maybe there are a lot of doubts in terms of Martin Boyle's participation for the World Cup. I just want to ask you guys, with the World Cup squad for the Socceroos, Mitch Langerak, there's been a lot of talk about his absence from the World Cup squad. What did you guys make of it?
Ladies first.
I don't know. There's a lot of talk about the fact that with the omissions and such a young side for this World Cup, there's a lot of talk that we're a bit underdone from past years. I mean, if you have a look at it, we've only got Aziz Milos, Jackson Irvin, Jamie McLaren, Aaron, I sometimes used to say Mui, but Moy, and Bailey Wright. They're the only two-time caps, and Ryan, the captain for the World Cup. The rest of them are a lot of the Olyroos from Tokyo 2020. And I think that we're taking a risk because normally the gents are pretty fit out on the pitch. And I'm not sure that we're going into this with the best pick squad. However, I have hope for my boys. I really do. When I look at the plagued injuries of France and some of the issues, I mean, not just that, but you know, you talk about their bad luck, they win, then they don't in the next subsequent one. They had the whole issues of the injuries, red cards, and the shock. Didn't get out of the round stages in 2002. But then in 2010, they had a player revolt. They're a very emotional, dramatic country. Not to take anything from them.
You should say, yeah.
Well, in terms of your culture comes through your sport, right? Yeah. I just think that, I don't know, I feel like we're going in a little bit underdone, but I've got hope that we've got the speed and the skill, because one of the things about the Australian team is that once we start training together, we do bond as a team. We don't have a lot of standout internationals. We don't have the Mbappes, the Neymars. We don't have the Messis. That's right. Well, we don't. But that doesn't mean that we should be written off in this game. My money's actually on Australia for this game, despite some of the inclusions and exclusions of the Australian team, that I was expecting a different lineup. I really was.
Okay. I guess Mitch Langerak is probably not so crucial. So no doubt about his quality, you know, but we have met Matty Ryan there. So I would not make it dependent on if we make it to the next round or not. It's not dependent on whether Mitch Langerak is there or not. So it's definitely surprising, right? But I think, so now we have Matty Ryan, we have Danny Vukovic, we have Andrew Redmayne. There were definitely a few surprising decisions, right? I mean, we spoke about that at the start. In general, it's a very difficult, a very tough group. And looking back, Australia did very well against France at the first game in 2018. This year could maybe be similar. That might be their chance, because it is a little bit of a curse that the former World Cup champion, is not doing that well at the next tournament, right? It happened to Germany, to Spain, to Italy, to all of them, you know. And we know from history it has been a long time ago that a team won 2 World Cups in a row. So that might be Australia's chance, that this tiny little bit that gives you the hunger, the aggressiveness, which I think will be very present with Brazil and Argentina.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of, I mean, I agree. I agree with you both. I think if there's ever going to be an opportunity for Australia to win or to do well, especially against a World Cup champion like France, now is the time to do it. Yeah. I have a little bit of doubt with our coach, with Graham Arnold. I'm still not 100% convinced with him. I mean, I know the Olympic Games doesn't really mean much in the terms of the footballing hemisphere and the footballing calendar and all that, but there were a lot of really bad decisions. There were really bad technical errors from the coach at that tournament. I hope he's learned his lesson. I hope that the Socceroos can do a lot better. In terms of Mitch Langerak and his omission from the squad, the fact that he said, look, I'm playing in Japan, I'm going through all the quarantines and all this sort of stuff to do with COVID, and it's just too much for me. I want to retire from international football. They said, okay, fine. Then they brought him back, got him into the squad for the New Zealand friendlies that happened a few months ago. So they got him through this whole process and rigmarole of saying, okay, you're going to be part of the squad, you're going to be part of the team. And then in the last minute, they said, no, sorry, you're not in. And there wasn't really a good explanation as to say why he wasn't there. So Mitch Langerak is the only goalkeeper in that group who who is playing overseas on a regular basis because Matthew Ryan is a substitute for his club Copenhagen in Denmark. So Langerak is playing constantly in Japan. He's one of the best goalkeepers in that league. He's kept a lot of clean sheets. He's doing really, really well. And yet they brought in Danny Vukovic, who's the goalkeeper for Central Coast Mariners, who, yes, he has experience and has done a lot of stuff, but can you compare him with Langerak? And having Langerak in that position, just in the squad, makes Matthew Ryan say, oh, geez, I've got to train harder. I've got to work harder to get my place in the squad. But in terms of the squad in general, I want to do a compare the pair, so to speak. But the current Socceroos squad, 8 players are currently playing in the A-League. That's including Marco Tilio. 3 from Melbourne City, 3 from Central Coast, 1 from Sydney, 1 from Adelaide. 2 play in the Japanese second division, not even the first division, the second division. 7 players play in Scotland, 3 of them play for Hearts. 2 play in Italy, 1 in the Serie A, 1 in the second division. 1 plays in La Liga, 1 plays in the German second division. 2 play in Denmark, 1 plays in the United States. 3 play in the English Championship. No English Premier League players. And we compare that to 2006, 3 were in the A-League, 1 was in La Liga, 3 were from Serie A, 1 from the Bundesliga, 1 from the Dutch Eredivisie, 2 were playing in Switzerland, 1 was playing in Sweden, 11 were playing in England, and 9 of them were playing in the English Premier League. Yep. So, you know, obviously that was the golden generation of the time, but I think it's a little bit concerning that we don't have players who are constantly playing in Europe and in good clubs in Europe.
And that's a discussion I think we had in the past, like Matthew Leckie, the best example for me, or Jamie McLaren, with all respect. I mean, we've met him, right? I mean, 2 players that have that experience, played Germany, Bundesliga, then Jamie went to Scotland, but Matthew Leckie played in Berlin as well. So these players coming back to Australia, they have their own reason for that, right? Be it either family, you know, be it either they don't want to put themselves under so much pressure, under the lens of the focus. But what does that show to younger players, you know, the emerging ones, when your shining stars, more or less, you know, are like suddenly coming back to the A-League? And with all respect, the A-League is not there where the top European leagues are, right?
Exactly. Miles behind. I mean, that's the thing, right? The best leagues in the world are producing some of the best players. Yeah. And you've said it, who do we have in this squad? That's the best of the best in different, you know, you look at the English Premier League, you look at Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, all of those have premium players in them. Yeah. And it is almost like, as Bernd just mentioned, it's almost like we've scaled back as Australian players and we've sort of cuddled up at home again. I have no idea if this is an effect of COVID and people coming home and, you know, cities locked down. But even when you go through all the clubs that they're currently being drawn from, it seems like it's a New South Wales team. Sorry, but it does when you look at their local imports. Yeah.
You don't even have a player from our national champion at the moment, from Western United, right?
Well, that's true.
In the squad.
That is true. But also, before we go with the Socceroos, I mean, we were saying that they have a good chance of beating, well, I won't say a good chance of beating France, not because of a technical side of thing, but there's a lot of outs with the French national team, and the Socceroos can beat them. So I was going to ask you.
I'm going to say will.
You think they will beat them?
Let's go through France's absolute injury list and their maybe injury list. So Kanté is out, Pogba is out, Maignan is out, Kimpembe is out, Nunuku is out. They are all known injuries, gone, out of the squad. Key players through the midfield and some of the defenders. Under an injury cloud, not likely to start, but let's hope they come good. Benzema, Varane, Condé and Mbappe.
That's a big out. I mean, big injury concerns with those sorts of players.
14 days before the start of the World Cup, Mbappe was taken off for Paris Saint-Germain, sat on the side, was taken back all the way into the rooms. Injury doesn't look all that great. He has turned up at Qatar with the team, but I would put him under an injury cloud of even starting at the moment. I hope he comes well. He's an absolutely sensational player. He's one of my favourites in terms of emerging younger players in the game. We can only say that for a few more years, right? Because he's no longer 19. But I just think with those injuries and just the turmoil going on around the French team at the moment, I think we've got a good chance of actually getting up.
Yeah, I think so.
That's my call.
Yeah. Do you agree? No? Okay. That's all got.
I disagree. Yeah, no. I think with all respect to to the Australian team, but the quality that France still has. So should be. It's gonna be. I think Australia is definitely capable, similar to what happened in 2018, to challenge them. That for sure. But in the end, France will secure the win.
Yeah, look, we hope
They will struggle more against Denmark.
let's all hold hands and pray that the Socceroos can actually do it. But yeah, you're right. If they can eke a draw, okay, I'm happy with that. But yeah, well, good luck. But just to quickly go through all the rest of the games, Monday, 3 a.m, Qatar versus Ecuador. So that's the opening game. That's the opening match in a few hours' time, and look forward to seeing the opening ceremony. It won't be as good as '94 with Diana Ross missing an open goal from like 5 meters out, but we'll see what happens there. Yeah. Well, yeah, you can call it that. But Tuesday, 12 a.m, England versus Iran. 3 a.m, Senegal versus the Netherlands. 6 a.m, USA versus Wales. 9 p.m, Argentina, Saudi Arabia. Wednesday, 12 a.m, Denmark, Tunisia. 3 a.m, Mexico, Poland. 6 a.m, Australia, France. 9 p.m, Morocco, Croatia. Thursday, 12 a.m, Germany, Japan. 3 a.m, Spain versus Costa Rica. 6 a.m, Belgium versus Canada. 9 p.m, Switzerland versus Cameroon. And then Friday, 12 a.m, Uruguay versus South Korea. 3 a.m, Portugal versus Ghana. And 6 a.m, Brazil versus Serbia. So interesting matches. Is there a particular team or a particular game that you think, okay, I'm really looking forward to this one? Apart from the Socceroos and France.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing Senegal play. Even while Mane is not likely to start in the first 2 games, the African teams,
he's completely
out.
He's completely out.
Oh,
yeah.
that just broke my heart.
That came from that. It just broke my heart. Just
No, seriously. Look, the African teams have not broken through the ceiling past the semi-finals, and I think that in terms of African nations, Senegal's my strongest pick of those teams between Ghana, Cameroon and Senegal. I've got them as front runners because even without Mane, they're a very strong, solid team. African teams have a different playing style, but what they lack is a bit of discipline on the pitch, and also their coaching direction. Give them another few World Cups and I think they'll be the ones to start beating. But I think they're going to be a bit of a surprise. I think they'll get beyond the barrier of where they've been previously. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing the Senegal team play besides Australia, France.
Sounds good.
I mean, regarding the names, probably Brazil versus Serbia is a...
Really? Okay.
So, no, I mean, that's
a surprise.
Yeah, that's probably one where you, if I now remember all the games, not have, or where I would say 2 components are, Serbia is not that bad. I mean, any European team at a World Cup is, with all respect to other national teams, but also national associations. The European teams, there's a reason why they have the biggest number, right, with 13 teams over there. But Germany versus Japan, I think it's going to be interesting because Japan, a top Asian team, right? Germany, one of the top European teams. So there will be a good few ones apart, of course, also from France versus Australia. So
I see your logic in that. I think, yes, you're right with the European teams, but then again, there's so many European countries that they have to fit. But I actually think people should be taking an eye on Wales. They have an okay team. You got Giggs and Ramsey and all that, but Wales, I think, are going to surprise a few nations and
Giggs.
Yeah, not Giggs. Sorry,
Bale.
Bale. My apologies. I've gone back in time. Sorry. Gone back in time. Bale, Ramsey, and Hennessy. Although I don't think he'll be starting. I think it'll be Ward will be in goals. But Wales, they'll be a surprise packet, I think, and possibly even Canada. You never know. There's always these teams that just come out of nowhere and surprise everyone. I mean, it happens in every World Cup, but we'll see. But hopefully,
Who's your favourite? If you have to name one team,
I think Germany.
Germany.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
I honestly believe Germany are going to win.
I think they're going to take it out this
now I feel bad, but
you should just in general, but if for this show, sure, no worries. But no, I actually think Germany are going to win. I'm being serious. I think Germany are going to win. I actually think England might cause a surprise. I would not be at all surprised if England does really, really well. They've
Until
got a
they
good
start
young
this
team.
coming home campaign.
Oh,
and
if the,
undo themselves.
yeah, all right. If they please don't sing that song, please don't sing that song. If you win the World Cup, okay, but just don't sing that song. all
Leading
right?
up to, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. But you're not no Germany.
So mine is really Argentina or Brazil.
Argentina or Brazil.
Yeah.
They are the front runners
okay.
for a lot of people.
So just also because of I believe in this kind of hunger that a team brings, and those two are due.
Yeah.
And Argentina, I mean, it's Messi's last chance, but I see him a bit different, you know, than Ronaldo. Ronaldo hasn't played that much, you know, like last chance. Messi is still in good shape, and Argentina, I think, has been unbeaten now for 3 years.
Yeah.
So they played a very good qualification. Brazil not as dependent on Neymar anymore as they were in the past,
True.
I would say. So. But let's see, that's the good thing with the
see,
World Cup. Anything can happen,
And
right?
I tell you what, Belgium, with the team they have, if they don't win now, they will never, ever win it. Because the team they've got at their disposal, some of the talent, Belgium.
But they are, I think, already a little bit on the downhill in 2018, and then also at the last European Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have a De Bruyne, they still have the Courtois from Madrid in goals, right? They have Lukaku, but I think already they are not as good anymore as they were 4 years ago. So,
Yes, I agree. But like I said, if they, like, I think some of them know that.
Yeah.
I think the players know that. I think, you know, if they
there
don't
will always
have a
be a
good shot now-
surprise at a World Cup, and I'm
That's
looking
right.
forward to whoever it's going to be. So
Yeah, well, as long as it's not Qatar, because if they make it through this, you know, the group stage and all that, it's like, there'll be some certain question marks. I think. But yeah, we can talk about this all day, but unfortunately we can't. We have to go. We'd like to thank Floyd Cardoso from Melbourne Social Soccer and Margaret Peril, who is our France supporter. I'd like to thank, obviously, Bernd Merkel and DeArne Leonard. Good luck to Germany. Good luck to the
Thanks, Gabriel.
Socceroos.
good luck to Uruguay.
Yeah, they're going to need it. So yeah, they're going. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. But we'll be back same time, same place next week, Saturdays at 7 p.m. So we look forward to seeing you again next week. Enjoy the football. Bye for now.